This graph changed my perception. Now, let's start. First of all, before starting anything, I just want to say that I am not the original person who came up with this graph. I learned it from Charlie Morgan, who in turn learned it from Sam Owens. So yeah, Sam Owens is the OG. So yeah, let's start. Every cause has an effect. For most people, everything that happened in their life leading up to the present moment was their own fault. If they are in a good situation, it's because of their actions, and if they are in a bad situation, it's because of their actions. Like, for example, I am relatively lean right now. I don't have a six pack, I'm just relatively lean. So it's not because some god came up and shined his ray on me, or that my parents were loving, blah blah blah. It was because I just took a slight interest in my calorie intake and measured it, or essentially just ate less than how I felt. So yes. Now, the second point which I want to say is that Newton said, what's the third law of Newton? Everyone know it. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But I think that this line is missing something. And there are two words, over time. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction over time. Meaning that whatever you do today won't have a reaction just today only. It will take some time. For example, if you read a book today, or if you read 30 pages of a book, just 30 pages, you won't feel any smarter. But on a long enough time horizon, you will become smarter. That means the action of reading a book today created the result of you getting smarter. And you can say that it doesn't really create the effect, but it's a second order consequence. That first you read the book and you feel good that you did something great and you're proud of yourself, so you do it the second day and third day, and it eventually makes up a habit. Now, let's discuss the graph which I told you about earlier. So as you can see in this, for small enough time, your memory is at your highest, but your effect or the result of your actions is at your lowest. You can see for a small time period, it can be for 1 day, 2 days, 4 days, 5 days. I'm trying to say is that for a short period of time, you have a relatively great memory, but your effects of a result which you are seeking are at the least. For example, what should I give? That everyone remembers that what did they eat yesterday or today. But if I asked you that what did you eat 3 nights, 4 days ago, you don't really remember. So that's what I'm trying to say. That in this graph, memory decreases over time. And for a relatively long period, there are no results or effect. But after a certain period of time, they skyrocket like this. So when your memory is at your lowest, your result is at your highest. This means that your memory decreases with time and the effect or result of your actions increases with time. Science students can get this. So that's what I'm trying to say. And the whole graph is dependent on one major factor, time. Time dictates everything in this graph. You can see that for a short period of time, it doesn't really matter what you do. Like, for example, if you ate clean yesterday, it doesn't really matter, to be very honest, because you wouldn't see the difference today. but in a year you will see that. When I went to the gym, I didn't notice any difference in my body after hitting a workout for the first time. I didn't see a difference after hitting my workout for the second time. I didn't see a difference after hitting my workouts for a whole week. And yes, it wasn't that I saw the difference in a week also. It took me around 1 month to notice the changes. That yeah, my body was gaining, I was having newbie gains. This shows that if I had taken my time period was small, if I had taken the time period very less, that means if I had only measured it on the basis of just one day, like I had worked out but I didn't got any result, that means that working out didn't produce any gains. I would have come to the conclusion, but I didn't. I persisted and I went for 30 days and I saw the result. So it's a very simple example and everyone can relate to this or can understand this. But if you really think about in life, like why did you get poor marks? It's not because that you didn't study yesterday. It's because that you have not been studying for the whole year. Or many students can say that they fuck. Many students can say that they studied last night but they still didn't get the result. It's not about what you do yesterday. It's what you did a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. If you are underconfident today, it's because you didn't spoke up that one time which was 2 years ago. And then a change of consequences started. So yes, that's why. Now, it's very easy and to be honest, practically, you can think, you can connect the dots that why you are not in the correct situation in which you want to be. Like you want to be rich but you are not. And you can kind of prophesize, you can kind of decipher it that why you aren't. But it's really, really difficult to know that what are the actions which created the good results. Like for example, if you are really rich right now, what are the actions which created the results? If you can focus right now, what are the actions which created the result? I can think of many that how I can focus right now. First, it can be meditation. Second, it can be stopping watching reels and YouTube shorts. And there are a lot of things. Stopping my mind from fidgeting every now and then. But no one knows what the correct answer is. So, with time, when you get the desired result, you might stop doing the habit. That's what I mean. Because everything is perishable. You also know that. Some things take longer to perish and some things take very short while. So everything is perishable over time. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, this graph also gives us a really good mental peace. It provides us with mental peace that the results which are not showing today, that doesn't mean that they will not show in the future. The results will inevitably show, but we don't decide the time that when they will. We don't have command over time, but this graph tells us that we will get the desired result if we keep on doing the good habit or the action which will produce that result. So many times we are uncertain. This will give us a lot of certainty that if we just study 3 hours every day consistently for the next 6 months, we will be able to get good grades in that exam which is coming up. And these things don't really show up much later in life. Like I have been posting for quite a while. At least around 3 to 4 months I have been posting, but I have not gotten any major success or result, you can say. Like my view count has increased. I first used to get 0 views, then I get 2, 3 and 7, 8, 10, 11. And mostly my friends like my videos or comment, so that's one thing also. But if I didn't know this graph, I would think that it's not working. but I know that it will work because I know this damn graph. I know that with time my results will come if I keep putting in the action. And this gives me a lot of mental peace. It makes me certain of the thing which I am trying to do. And yes, that's why I can freely talk to the camera or the mobile, to be very honest, on these topics which I relatively like to talk about. Now, the last thing which I would recommend to you or anyone watching is that stick this graph, draw this graph and stick it on your wall. I have stuck it on mine, and just look at it at least once a day and think about what are the actions which will over time create the desired result which I want, and what are the actions which won't. If you want to get smarter, will reading make you? So if you think the answer is that, then you should start reading. If video games would, destroy your dopamine system, if the answer for you is yes, then you should stop. Because just think, the actions you take today will desire the result which your future self will have. The life you are witnessing now is not because of your actions which you did yesterday. It's because of the actions which the past you did a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. Winston Churchill was asked what are the consequences of the World War II in our life. And he very interestingly said that we don't know. It's too soon to say anything. It might be that we are living in the consequences of the fall and the rise of Roman Empire. That's what he said. That it's too soon to say anything. Because we don't know the factor. We don't get to decide when the results will show. When the time is the major factor. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I know that I wasn't able to explain this graph as good as Charlie and Sam did, but I loved the graph, and when you try to explain something, you get a better understanding of it. So yeah, I'm kind of selfish. I wanted to understand this graph better, and thus I made this video, and hopefully you liked it too, so that someday you can explain this graph to some other people, and this way the knowledge spreads, and there are more smart people like us. I'm counting myself as smart. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.